Hey everyone, it's DaGadgetGuru. This is going to be a video response for G.Hopper85's Your Chance to Be a Sheep video. And I figured I'd enter this because I love his contests because they promote not only helping out the YouTube community, but it also promotes giving players knowledge from other players' point of view. And that's one of the main things we need to do because some people may see uses for a card that others don't. So the three cards I want to discuss. One monster, one spell, one trap. The first one is Green Kappa, or Green Kappa, however you want to say it. Green Kappa is a dark 3-star warrior who says flip, select 2 face-down spell or trap cards on the field and destroy them. Now, this card was being used not too long ago, about a month and a half ago. It was being used in side decks because there was a lot of face-downs and a lot of, as you can say, back row with the Solemn Warnings, the Deep Prisons, the Bottomlesses. I mean, you had a lot of stuff you had to be wary of in the back row. So people were side decking this guy. One or two usually. They never really went to three because you needed room for other cards, but he was a good card nonetheless. Now, what makes him so good, first of all, is he's dark. This gives him the capacity to be allurable. You can use him in dark decks that require Dark Arm Dragon, Chaos Sorcerer, Blackluster Soldier, anything that requires darks in the graveyard. You can also use him in decks that just require a bunch of darks, like with Dark Nephis or Dark Creator. So he's very good for that reason. The second reason he's really good is that he's a warrior. Now, being a warrior, it allows him to be searchable by reinforcements of the army, and it also allows him to be played in warrior decks who, say, might run Solidarity. Overall, his stats aren't very impressive. He's a 650, 900. So if he gets attacked by anything, he's pretty much going to be destroyed. That's just how it is for him. But that's not his real point. His real point isn't to stay on the field. His real point is to get flipped, destroy 2 cards, and go to the graveyard. Now his effect says flip, select 2 face-down spell or trap cards on the field and destroy them. That's actually a very good effect. First of all, you don't lose anything. Like, you lose nothing. You lose maybe a Green Kappa, but you don't lose anything life point-wise, and you don't lose anything card advantage-wise. You blow up 2 of their cards, and he does his job. That's his whole job. He's like a double MST. So he himself is quite useful in that regard to get rid of back rows. The reason he's not played anymore is he ended up getting outmoded with triple MST, Heavy Storm, Chain Whirlwind. I mean, there's so many more options out there at the moment that he just is too slow for players. And rather than destroying him that way, they usually will just do Trap Stun, then Heavy Storm, and be done with it, and that's about it. The next card I wanted to talk about is going to be a spell card, and that is Mark of the Rose. Now, Mark of the Rose it used to be a very played card. I mean, plants used to abuse this card to no end. I still think a successful plant deck should use this card. I really do. This card is amazing. First of all, as you can see, it's a spell card. It came in Ultra and Ultimate. It's a equip card, and it says remove from play 1 plant-type monster in your graveyard and equip this card to a monster your opponent controls. Gain control of the equipped monster. During your end phase, the control of the equipped monster give control of the equipped monster to your opponent. During your standby, you gain control. Now, of course, that never happened. Like, when they played Mark of the Rose, they Mark of the Rose something and then they got rid of it. They either tributed it or they synchroed it, or it did not live. It didn't stay there. That was the whole point of Mark of the Rose. Now, in the grand scheme of things, Mark of the Rose stopped getting played. I'd say about 3 months ago. And people stopped playing it because you had to remove your plants, and that kind of it kind of took away from your pot of average, took away from your graveyard plays. But it was a very good card because you could go summon Lone Fire, pop the Lone Fire, grab another Lone Fire, pop that Lone Fire, and then grab like Spore or something, and then Mark of the Rose something in Synchro. It was good in that effect. The downside to it in today's format is the triple MST. The triple MST would mean you'd have to remove a plant, and this thing would probably get MST'd before you could even take their monster. Another downside is plants lost a Lone Fire and they lost a Dandelion, so that in itself is going to hurt the deck and slow it down, so you really don't want to be removing the only copies you have in your graveyard of those cards. Overall, I think this is a very good card for plant decks. If you run a plant deck, I would suggest using 2 or 3 of it. The pro players say that it's too slow, but in testing, I've seen it do really good things. I've seen it even win games, because if you can Mark of the Rose your opponent's Judgment Dragon, that can really mess them up. Like, it really can. I mean, they really don't want to kill their own Judgment Dragon, so they kind of have to let you have it every turn, or just pay 1,000 to nuke, which is usually what, people do. But overall, Mark of the Rose is one of those cards that's completely underrated, and everybody ignores it. But that's why it can be so good at times, because nobody expects it. Sometimes the unexpected is literally what you have to use to win a game. Because if your opponent can tell everything you're going to do before you do it, then there's no point in playing, because they're just going to forecast what you do and just stop it. That's the one problem with playing meta. That's why those people who net deck meta decks usually don't top, because their opponents know what they're going to do, and they have plenty of side options and main deck options to stop that. But when you're playing a truly original deck using original tech, there's nothing they can do, and they really are at a loss for answers to your stuff sometimes. The last card I want to talk about is a trap card, and it's Debunk. Now, Debunk is a counter trap card. This is fairly new, actually. And its effect says, negate the activation of an effect monster that activates in the hand or in the graveyard and remove it from play. Now, this card is amazing in my opinion. This card has so many targets, it's not funny. When you're talking about the hand, you've got Tragodia and Gorge are the main targets. Those cards are ran in like almost every deck right now. It's retarded. You look at a deck list and it's almost guaranteed to be a Gorge and double Trag. So this card automatically shuts down those monsters. But even more so, it kills stuff in decks like Wolf and Plague Spreader and such forth. I mean, that's where it becomes really good, is when they start trying to abuse their graveyard. You can debunk their monsters, and not only does it stop them from using the effect, but it removes the monster. And when you're playing Lightsworn or Plants or anything that uses the graveyard a lot and special summons from the graveyard, debunk really will help you. Now, I would not say to main deck it. I would say to side deck it. I'd probably side deck 1 to 2 depending on what kind of deck I'm playing. But it's got many uses, and it has many good points to it. First of all, it's a counter trap. So when you play it, they can't trap stun it or anything like that. They'd have to solemn it literally, or dark bribe if they run it. The second good point about it is it has so many viable targets. Usually with a card, you side deck a card for a specific deck or a specific archetype. But with this card, there's so many people who run stuff like this that it actually works against almost everything, to be honest. And sometimes it'll help you out of situations you didn't even know you needed help out of. Like your opponent summons a Stardust, and you end up killing that Stardust, and then you're like, oh wait, I have Debunk. When they try and special summon that Stardust from the graveyard, I can just debunk the Stardust. And that saves you, and you didn't realize that. It also will save you against really big plays, like when your opponent goes and they mill a Wolf, and they're like, yes, I got the Celestial. When they try and special summon the Wolf, you debunk it. Like, the ability this card has to, I guess you could say, enrage your opponent is amazing. I've seen it save many players, but also you have to understand with every card there is a downside. Now, a lot of people say, well, what downside? This card doesn't have a cost. It doesn't have a really negative effect that they can see. The problem is it is kind of limited. It negates the effect of a monster that activates in the hand or grave, but if they don't have anything like that, it's just a dead card sitting on your field. Now, I always went with the motto, because I play gadgets, I always go with the motto, better to be prepared than be unprepared. Because when you're unprepared, that's when they play random stuff on you and you lose the game. So it's better to have it when they have the Gorge or the Tragodia than to not run it at all and not have it when they do that, and end up losing because you decided not to put it in your side deck. So this has been, DaGadgetGuru's chance to be a sheep video review. And, I just wanted to do it because I find his contests fun, and I really do enjoy doing them. So, this is DaGadgetGuru, and I will catch you all later.